The collector. It was late when Emily returned home, her shoes tapping softly against T.P. Street. She'd heard the news another woman had gone missing, the fifth in just 2 months. A serial killer, they said, someone who left no trace except for one chilling detail. He always took something from the victims, a piece of jewelry, a scrap of clothing, sometimes even a lock of hair. Emily quickened her pace, feeling the cool night air wrap around her. As she unlocked her apartment door, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She glanced over her shoulder, but the street was empty. Inside, the apartment was quiet to quiet. Her phone buzzed, a text from her friend Sarah. "Are you home safe? Be careful out there." Emily smiled slightly, texting back a quick confirmation. She placed her phone on the kitchen counter and made her way to the bathroom, eager to wash away the unease of the night. The hot water calmed her nerves, but that feeling of being watched still clung to her. When she stepped out of the shower, her breath caught in her throat. On the mirror, written in the fog, were 3 words: "I took something." Emily's heart pounded. She backed out of the bathroom, her eyes scanning the apartment. Nothing seemed out of place. She grabbed her phone to call the police, but froze when she saw what was missing. Her phone case, the one she had always kept, a small photo of her late mother-in, was gone, and from the shadows of her apartment, she heard the softest sound, slow, deliberate breathing. Emily stood frozen, heart thudding in her chest as the reality of what had just happened sank in. Her phone case, a piece of her life, her memories, was gone. The air in the apartment felt heavier now, thick with an unshakable dread. She stared into the shadows, her mind racing, trying to rationalize the impossible. The breathing continued, slow, calculated, as if whoever or whatever was there enjoyed the moment of her fear. She stepped back, nearly tripping over the rug in her haste. Her phone was still in her hand, but without the case, it felt vulnerable, naked in her grip. Her fingers shook as she tapped the screen to dial the police, her eyes darting around the room, searching for the intruder. The call connected, and she whispered, "Urgently, there's someone in my apartment, please." The line cut out. Panic surged in Emily's veins as the room plunged into silence once again, broken only by that eerie breathing. She looked down at her phone, the screen glitching and flashing, as if something or someone was interfering with the signal. In the dim light, her reflection caught her eye, and she glanced at the mirror across the room. There, etched faintly in the condensation, were the same 3 words: "I took something." Emily's breath quickened. She had to get out now. She bolted for the door, but just as her hand reached the knob, it wouldn't turn. Locked, trapped. The breathing stopped. The silence was worse, far worse. Emily spun around, pressing her back against the door, eyes wide and searching the shadows for any sign of movement. There was nothing, just the oppressive darkness that seemed to close in around her. Her chest heaved with shallow breaths, the weight of the situation pressing down on her. She had to think. She had to find a way out. Suddenly, a low voice drifted from the shadows, barely a whisper, but unmistakable. "You can't leave, Emily, not yet." Her blood turned to ice. Whoever was in her apartment, they knew her name, and they weren't finished.